People often look to their parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents to get a second citizenship through their family tree. But if you don't qualify for citizenship by descent, you can still get your entire family citizenship, including your parents and your parents-in-law. Today I'm going to walk you through each of the different ways that you can get the whole family their own second citizenship. Family is one of the big reasons that people are concerned about moving overseas. And so what I've often suggested is if you have parents, adult children, siblings, whomever is like-minded, add them to your residence permit, add them to your citizenship. Today I'm going to walk you through some ways where you can actually add your parents. Siblings are a little bit harder. We're going to focus on parents and parents-in-law, how you can get them their own passport that matches yours. That way you guys can all travel together, live overseas together, and prepare for whatever may happen in your country next. Now, if it's your first time here, my name is Andrew Henderson. I'm the founder of Nomad Capitalist. We're a boutique consultancy that helps 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you're treated best, reducing your taxes, diversifying and protecting your assets, getting second citizenship, and building your freedom all overseas. We also host the biggest and best offshore conference called Nomad Capitalist Live. And so there's a couple of different ways you can get citizenship for, again, let's focus on parents in this case. The first would be citizenship by descent. And so you might think, well, my parents would have to be another citizenship, or their parents would have to be another citizenship for this to work. What I've seen in numerous cases is someone comes to us and they say, hey, I have a grandparent who is Romanian, or I have a great-grandparent who is Italian, or I have whoever in the family tree. And we've actually gone through with people where we had a gentleman where he applied for Italian citizenship in the United States. He added his 4 children on, and they all got Italian citizenship. But his father, who was also in the line of descendants, was able to get citizenship as well. His father wasn't aware he even qualified for this. And so now they all, 3 different generations, have the ability to live, work, travel, play, study within the European Union, and of course within Italy itself. And so you may have a citizenship that you qualify for by descent that your parents either need to get first. That wasn't the case in this situation, but that they either need to get first for then you to then after qualify. And so they'll get it, then you'll get it. Or you can just kind of add everybody and do it all at the same time. And so there's different rules for different countries, but your parent may not know that they even qualify for that. Some parents don't even know that they were born in a different country like Canada or Mexico, and that actually qualifies them for citizenship, and then you could oftentimes claim that. Another way to do it is naturalization. And so if you're going to be moving somewhere, what we have had is people who take their parents overseas. Maybe their parents require medical care, and so they want to continue to care for them. And so they'll move to Portugal, they'll move to the Philippines, they'll move to Malaysia, they'll move to Thailand, they'll move to somewhere where there's good health care, good quality of life, more affordable, so the care is cheaper than a place like the United States, and then they'll all work towards citizenship together. They'll get a residence permit, let's say a self-sufficient residence permit in Portugal and a number of other European countries, or they'll get a golden visa, or they'll get a residence permit, investor's visa, what have you, in an Asian country, or they'll go to Latin America. I mean, there's obviously plenty of places where you can, not so much Asia get citizenship, but where you can get residence and then you can work towards that citizenship together. I think what a lot of families like to do is they like to have, if they are like-minded, the same passport. So, hey, I don't want to get St. Lucia for my mom and dad, and I work towards Portugal. Let's just all do the same one together. And so if you can move somewhere and put in a certain amount of time, whether it's a lesser amount of time for a golden visa or a greater amount of time by actually moving and just living in that country, you can work towards that passport. The easiest way for most families is going to be citizenship by investment, though. And so this is where you're going to make a donation. Occasionally you're going to purchase real estate, but for the ones that work for kind of multiple generations, it's probably more donation focused. You're going to make a donation, you're going to fill out a whole stack of paperwork, you're going to get a whole bunch of documents together and stamp and seal them, you're going to send it off, and in a matter of months you're going to get an approval so long as you are a person of good character, and your passports will come. You don't need to go anywhere, you don't need to live anywhere, you don't even need to go to the other country in pretty much all the cases. And so there are 5 countries in the Caribbean that allow you to do that. Let's walk through the programs and which ones allow you to add your family. So probably the most flexible of the 5 programs is Grenada. And so basically it's a $150,000 donation for one person. You can put that up to about $200,000 for a family. This is before all the different fees and documents and everything you need to do, which is not an insignificant amount itself. But basically, you can get a whole family of 4 in there. And so that means you can do yourself and your spouse and your kids. And then on top of that, you can add your parents and you can add your parents-in-law, so long as, of course, you have a spouse on the application. And so this is especially helpful if you have a spouse where they and or their parents come from a country which has a less a passport that's not as good, so that you can kind of expand their travel plans to where maybe you and your spouse want to go and travel or live somewhere with your new passport, but you want the parents or parents-in-law to come along with you. This can solve that problem. So Grenada is the one country in the Caribbean where there's really no financial dependent requirement and there's no age limit on parents. Most of the countries want you to be 55 years or older, and most of them want some level of dependence financially. That could mean that they live with you, it could mean you're sending them money, it could mean they don't have a lot of money. Some of the same criteria apply if you want to bring in adult children, right? If you have a child who's going to university, they have no income, you're fully supporting them, that's a lot stronger case for most citizenship programs. Not necessarily a residence program, but a citizenship program where they're basically eager to help you get citizenship because it is an investment transaction. Some of those same criteria apply to your adult children. People want to get their adult children in as well, and sometimes the adult children are too old, they're married, they're not financially independent, they have a ton of money. That makes it a lot harder. Same thing applies to parents, and in Grenada, that really doesn't matter. You can just add them on as your dependents. And so basically $200,000 for a family of 4, and over that $50,000 per parent. So it's not the cheapest one, but it's the one that if you have, let's say, a wealthy family, that could be helpful. And so we've had people who've come to us numerous times where they have 8, 11, 16 different people in the family, and we kind of figure out what's the easiest way to put that into the fewest number of applications. One of the things we found was, hey, let's have someone my age, for example, then sponsor their parents, and then you get the parents going up, you get the kids who are too old and too financially successful to qualify as dependents, and then you get the kids. And so you have 3 generations basically in one application, and we've seen where we're able to put in 3 or 4 different applications for a pretty big family and save people a lot of money versus everyone doing it on their own. And so Grenada is one place that we have helped people do that. Some of the more flexible ones, St. Kitts and Nevis, a little bit less flexible than Grenada, but still flexible. St. Kitts and Nevis and Antigua. Basically, this is 55 years old and older, and you need some level of partial financial dependence on the main applicant. So if I'm applying and I want to add my parents, if I want to add my parents-in-law, they need to be somewhat dependent on me. And so maybe it's the case that one of your parents, one of your sets of parents, is not financially dependent on you. And so if you're going to get with Antigua or St. Kitts, if they're just billionaires or something, then the other set can come with you. You don't have to do both together. You don't even have to do both parents that are together, right? You can have just dad wants to do it or just mom over here. But if you have parents that are financially dependent, Antigua, St. Kitts, and then to a lesser extent, Dominica can also work. And so you're looking at an extra, $25,000 in Dominica. You're looking at a larger number generally at Antigua. St. Kitts is going to be the cheapest offer usually, where you can just basically add on $10,000 per additional parent. So basically it's $150,000 in St. Kitts for one, going up to $195,000 for 4, so basically $150,000, $175,000, $185,000, $195,000 for the first 4, and then $10,000 for each one. So when I had someone recently come to me and say, hey, we want to do our 2 kids and we want to do like a bunch of parents, they're like, well, maybe we can wait on 1 or 2 of the parents. It's like, well, listen, you're going to pay $10,000. You're going to pay the same document collecting fees. You're not going to have some of the same other costs of starting a brand new file. The time to do it, if you think it's ever going to happen that these parents want their second citizenship, is now. Because again, you don't need to visit the country. You can do everything remotely. As long as you can collect documents, and that's something that we work with people on, it's 10 grand. If your parents later decide that they want to get citizenship in St. Kitts and Nevis, they're going to be paying $175,000 versus $20,000. So it's worth having that option with St. Kitts. The best of the travel documents, not by a lot, but the best of the travel documents of the Caribbean Citizenship by Investment. It's also the cheapest one, but again, the parents have to have some level of financial dependency. St. Lucia, basically they require full financial dependence, and so that is on top of the fact that the passport isn't as strong as some of the others anymore, and they have to be 55 or older, makes it not as interesting unless you have parents that are fully dependent, and you can do that. That is the second cheapest. Basically, once you hit a threshold, it's an extra 15 grand. And there are different options you can do in St. Lucia. So Grenada and St. Kitts probably stand as some of the most straightforward ones and some of the cheapest. And so you can basically add your parents and parents-in-law right on there. Rather than just you and your spouse getting it, maybe you get your children who are in university. Maybe you get your parents. Rather than 2, do 8. I mean, do 6. it's not going to cost you that much more. Where you can't generally do this is in Turkey. So Turkey's pretty strict. They have a citizenship program based on generally real estate investment. People occasionally also do bank deposit, or occasionally, on rare occasion, they'll hire 50 people. You can't add parents, and they're really pretty strict about adding adult children as well. So Turkey's one more just for yourself, for your spouse, and for any minor children there. Malta, which has the best passport available, they have what's called the MEIN program. It's a little bit different than Citizenship by Investment. It's a little bit slower, and it's a little bit more effort. But you're getting a top quality European Union passport that allows you to live anywhere in the European Union. It's going to cost you upwards of $1 million by the time you add in all the fees. And obviously each person you add, it's 50,000 euros extra, plus the extra cost of gathering documents and getting everything ready. But if you've got parents who are financially dependent, 55 years or older, they can be added 50,000 euros each. So they're more strict in Malta, which is the case for pretty much the entire program. But if you're going to Malta and you're going to spend 750,000 euros and you're going to go through the whole process, you're going to add your spouse, you're going to add any kids that qualify, and hey, for 50,000 euros, once you're already in for $1 million or more, you can add your parents or parents-in-law as long as they are dependent on you. So that's a snapshot. Right? Always look at the family tree. If you're going to be moving somewhere, see who might want to move with you. Right? We literally have had families where it's like, hey, I want to take my dad. I've seen that on numerous occasions. Certainly where you're getting the family tree passports together, or where you're moving together. If you don't want to change your lifestyle, if you don't qualify for citizenship by descent, then definitely look at citizenship by investment, because as you can see, once you're already committing to the process, you're not going to have to add on necessarily a lot of extra cost to get more people covered. That means more people in the family have a plan B, more people have a way out of Dodge, they have a passport they can travel on if things get rocky in your country, even if your parents aren't concerned about finances or tax or asset protection or any of the things that we often talk about. It's good to have a second passport to travel the world if something happens in your country, if the reputation suffers, if you just need to go somewhere, if you need another place to live, right? These Caribbean passports, you can generally spend as much time as you want in the other countries in the Eastern Caribbean. So you're getting a number of different countries that you have access to, as well as the ability to get residence permits and visit as a tourist in many countries all around the world. Get the parents in, get the parents-in-law. It's a great extra step for a few extra dollars to protect more people in the family, so you can all go where you're treated best.